What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another classic WoW video. So today we'll be talking a little bit more about the official hardcore servers that might be coming out. We don't have any actual confirmation from Blizzard's side just yet, or any announcement for that matter, but what we do have is a data mined version. Basically we found some notes right here that has been data mined in the 10.1 patch that are talking about classic hardcore, or basically talking about official hardcore servers and their implementation to the game itself, and we have some codes for hardcore servers that have been put into retail for 10.1, and what I personally think is happening here is that they're putting it into retail first, for then to patch it down to the classic client, based on them both being on the same client. So basically they're giving it to retail for then to put it into the classic folder, as classic is basically forked off of the same client. So either way we have some data mining going on right there, and I want to use this video to give my opinion on what the hardcore servers should look like. Obviously this will be my opinion on hardcore servers. I could be completely off the charts on this one, I could be completely wrong about what will happen, but this is what I personally want to happen, and let me know in the comments down below what your ideal version of hardcore servers look like. So without further ado, let's get into a discussion here. First of all, I want to talk about the current hardcore system that we have in Classic WoW, and this refers to a bunch of rules for how to play hardcore. So when we currently play hardcore on Classic era, by the way, hardcore refers to a way of playing the game where you basically have one life, and if you die you have to delete your character and start all the way from scratch again, basically, so it's an Iron Man challenge. And when we're playing on Classic era, we have a couple of base rules, not just a couple, we have quite a few of them, and some of these are made because we're playing on Classic era servers where, first of all, not everyone is playing hardcore, so we have a mix of both hardcore characters and regular characters, which is why some of these rules pretty much have to be in place. First of all, let's talk about grouping. For example, no grouping out in the open world unless you are en route to your hardcore dungeon. This is, for example, so if you're doing Hogger at level 8, you can't get help from someone who's level 30, and you basically have to keep soloing quests and doing quests with your hardcore solo, duo or trio character. So you can't get help from other people and group that way. It's basically to keep the game challenging and fun, plus the fact that once again we're playing on a server where some players are hardcore and some players are normal players. So if you're allowed to group, then regular players can, for example, be running around with enchants that they have bought from their mains and sent to their alts. So they will be a twinked out version, doing much more damage, and grouping up makes it a lot more easy to do those quests. Same thing goes with, for example, trading. You can see that trading all the way on the right here. No trading of any kind with other characters, even for conjurables like mage food and water or warlock health stones. Once again referring back to the fact that we are on a regular Classic era server, where some players are hardcore, some players are normal players, and in order to moderate this one, like completely, like in a perfect world, trading would be allowed between hardcore characters only, but since there's no real way of moderating that, it's much easier to just shut down trading overall, and now you can't trade with anyone. Another aspect here is that when you can't trade, you have to be completely self-sufficient, which makes the challenge itself more difficult and a little bit more rewarding. Okay, so with these rules, let me talk more about the official hardcore servers and what I would like to see changed based on these rules right here. So first of all, let's just take a look at trading. I think trading and the auction house, like first of all in hardcore right now on Classic era, we can't use the auction house and we can't trade. On official hardcore servers, I would want to see both of these things being available. So give us access to the auction house, like have an actual auction house and also have trading. This is basically what Classic WoW is built upon after all, teamwork and working together, and professions are like based around each other. You need some materials from leatherworking for tailoring and vice versa, especially for blacksmithing, engineering and enchanting and so on. It's meant to be like incorporated and played with each other, so there should be some teamwork going on here, and yeah, basically allow professions, auction house and trading, as I just think it adds to the game itself. The current rules we have make perfect sense for Classic era, but for official hardcore servers, I think it would draw a lot more people into the game by having access to pretty much everything. Have access to the auction house, have access to professions, have access to trading, and even have access to grouping. Just the only thing Blizzard needs to do here is to shut off the ability to resurrect, or basically when you die, you either stuck as a perma-ghost, or your character is automatically deleted. I think in a perfect world, they would just shut off the resurrection button, so when you die, you can be a ghost. That way you can still kind of log into your character, and reminisce about good old times, and see the achievements you made on that character. But you would not be able to resurrect, but everything else you would still be able to do. Sure, this makes the challenge itself a little bit easier, because once again you can group up, and you can even buy items from the auction house. But, that being said, when it's easier, it allows for more players to participate in the challenge, and if some people want it to be harder, you can stick to a community-made game mode on those servers as well. I think the servers themselves would thrive a lot more by being more accessible. You don't need to put more hurdles in place than necessary, and you want the servers to attract as many players as possible. That way we ensure the servers stay alive for as long as possible. And then if you want to have a serious, like real hardcore community on those servers, we can use community made rules like no auction house and no trading, just as a community thing. But for the servers themselves, all they have to do is shut off the ability to resurrect, and I think that would be fine. It would also create an economy and an ecosystem on the server itself, allowing for more kind of gameplay than just leveling up and just hardcore. It would make gold farming, for example, a lot more fun and a lot more viable. And even though, yes, you can, for example, be level 10, farm a bunch of copper ore in Elven Forest, and then buy yourself some greens to make the challenge easier for yourself, but then again, why shouldn't you be able to? It just makes the game more fun and more inviting to anyone, and if you want a real challenge, you don't have to do it. You don't have to farm gold and buy greens. You can choose not to. So I just think it just adds more to the game itself. And also, let me talk about this. Botting is a huge problem. It's been a problem in retail for years. Even the WoW token didn't make botting go away. It's still a problem to this day. And Classic WoW had bots, lots of them in fact. TBC Classic, infested by botting. And now we have Wrath of the Botting King. A bunch of bots playing Wrath right now. Well, not even playing, but they're basically farming gold and selling gold on the black market due to GDKPs being a massive thing. Imagine gold farming and gold making on hardcore servers. There would be almost no bots. Like, sure, there could be some bots at level 10 farming in Elven Forest, but past level 10 they would have a real hard time. Some quests are challenging, and setting up a botting program to never die in your leveling journey to level 60, and then finding a decent gold farm, and also not getting ganked or anyone in the open world. Like if I see a bot, for example, I can pull a bunch of mobs to myself and then vanish in front of the bot, and they will aggro to the bot instead. It makes those servers would be so difficult to bot on, and the economy would be so fantastic. I think it would draw a whole new audience to those servers just because of that alone. But yeah, that was just me discussing with myself basically. But what do you guys think the official hardcore servers should look like? Should they be like I just mentioned, only not being able to resurrect and everything else being available? Should you be able to trade? Should you be able to use the auction house? Should you be able to group? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That way we can also send a message to Blizzard about what the community actually wants to see here. I would also be very interested to hear your opinions on the subject. So please, once again, let me know in the comments down below. And make sure to give the video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. It boosts the algorithm, which I think the YouTube platform likes. Also, if you want more content just like this, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. I pump out videos almost every single day talking about Classic WoW, World of Warcraft, and just, yeah, WoW in general. If you enjoyed, then subscribe, and that's pretty much it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.